Ryan.
Yes.
Hey, cheers, buddy. Welcome. A little solo one-on-one episode of the Conversation Pit tonight.
A little bit quieter this time. I can actually hear myself think.
Well, the pit is lit green tonight, which means green light go. We had blue, which means blue, I don't know, fucking chaos.
Hectic times.
Hectic times. We should have had like what's distress? Is that black square and a red circle, a red flag or whatever?
We should have that going.
Yeah, I don't know.
We should have done cycles. We should have had 2 and 2 come in. Just do half-hour episodes.
It was not smart. It was not smartly run. And in the future, we'll do a little bit better with that.
Definitely.
But you stuck around.
I think 5 is a good number.
5 is too many. I think 4 is getting, depending on who's there.
Exactly. It's who's
right?
the 5, right?
Yeah.
So if it's like the other guy, if it's like Will, Jay Willie, and Aiden.
Well, you gotta remember, Will is basically my co-host.
Yeah,
So those two, generally speaking, are a must.
4 and then you and Will, so then...
I think 4 total. I think we could do 2 guests if they are like a
guests.
you.
Yeah, me and some other
And like an
person.
Aiden Flaherty type. Yeah, I think that's probably... So, but to circle back, we recorded the episode with Wing and Liam and Derek and TJ and Teddy, and it was chaotic. And then after a few of those gentlemen left, it was me, you, Teddy, Derek,
That was it.
and we did a recording. We were all much too drunk, and so that one has been shelved. We'll hold that maybe down the line for the Patreon people.
It's like when Disney puts movies in the vault. And then,
You ever hear a Song of the South?
Stop. And then 10 years later, you're watching your VHS tape, and it's like fresh from the vault. Here's Beauty and the Beast or something.
Yeah.
It's gonna be that episode.
That's what it seems
It's the
like.
lost episode.
It really is. It's the last episode of SpongeBob,
Yeah.
where he gets tangled up in the...
Someday, someone's gonna be reacting to these in the future, and then they're gonna find the lost tape, and it's gonna be that.
Yeah.
But
That'll
actually,
join the episode that Will, Aiden, and I did. You weren't there for that,
No,
but there
I
was an
was not.
episode where they got really deep into esoteric fascism.
Was that when you were doing the fast?
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
the fast episode, and I was really angry.
The fast episode.
The fast episode. So we call it the esoteric fasting. And that episode, thankfully, actually, not thankfully, I'd love to still have the file, but it was lost. My external hard drive had a infant mortality, and
That's
so
the real lost. That's the one that's never coming back.
I'll say our friends in the Mossad called me up and they said, "Hey, knock your external hard drive off of your desk, be a man, and make it disappear." So I listened.
Paul was seeing stars. He was so hungry. He was looking across the table at Will and Aiden. They just looked like food.
He looked like a bucket of ice cream, and Will looked like a chicken drumstick.
Oh,
No, I'll tell you, that was like, I want to do one of those again. I was thinking about actually after I come home. I have an interview next Wednesday, and then I'm up in Maine until Saturday. But I was thinking like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So what is that? 10 days from now, I was thinking about doing another fast. So for those of you who don't know, Phil Mickelson, my favorite golfer, which if you're a frequent listener, you know that I tried to talk about my experience at the Travelers.
Maybe we can bring that back. I mean, it's been a little while since we were both there that day.
Yeah, we can talk a little bit about it.
I respect it more than some other members of the podcast.
Listen, it was fine. We had a good conversation, and that's really all that this is about. But it was important to me, so I think we can discuss it. But Phil was well overweight. He has an eating problem, and he designed this fasting regimen where he will only drink an 8-ounce cup of coffee and water every day, and he does it for like 36 hours a week, and he also does it to reset his body for like 5 days if he finds himself falling off the horse with his eating. He's a binge eater like me. I'm a binge eater, and I was pretty big, and I lost some weight, and then I started putting some back on during COVID, and I said,
as we all did.
I can't. I'm looking at trying to figure out how to get on a treadmill. I got to reacquaint myself.
I was down probably another, at my lowest, which I mean wasn't right before COVID, but as I got like senior year, kind of started to pick up again. I was down like 20 pounds where I was like right now, my lowest.
Yeah.
And like 10 of it was probably during COVID.
Yeah.
Just from not, you're at home, there's nothing else to do, you're bored, you eat, and that's kind of the challenge when you're bored is not eating.
Yeah.
Finding something else to do besides.
Am I just eating because I'm bored?
I feel like oftentimes it is.
Yeah. Well, that's why the Grinch says it in that movie, because it's a true statement.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've gained 15 pounds during coronavirus, and I bought a rowing machine, and I'm using that, and that's like that has stopped my weight gain, but it has not started any weight loss because I need to figure out my diet, and we'll see. But anyway, I was doing a 72-hour, a 3-day fast in the style of Phil Mickelson, and that's why I was so angry during that episode. I was like maybe 14 hours in. It was like the evening of the first day, and I was just pissed off. Actually, so it was probably 24 because I started after dinner the night before, and I was just pissed. And after the episode finished,
right? That's gotta be like a cycle you go through, right? Like stages of grief, but with fasting. You get to like
that's what it feels like.
You're in anger, then you just denial. I'm not hungry. Like
I'm not. I won't lie to you. The first day was the hardest.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, because you're really acutely aware of the fact that your body's saying, "Hey, you're disrupting my cycle here. Like, aren't you supposed to eat a full bag of fucking Smart Food, you fat pig? Like, what are you doing?" And nighttime feeding was the worst. But after I woke up on the second day, and you're really into the coffee at that point because it's the only source of nutrients.
I feel that not that I'm like.
Also, I have to say, I'm not a nutrition. I can't speak
to the benefits of a fast or the harms of a fast.
And I won't even say regular coffee does anything, but specifically Phil Mickelson has a coffee brand that has this packet of nutrients. It has like collagen and cinnamon and all these. It's supposed to have all these benefits.
It's not just straight coffee.
Yeah,
there's
some science to it. But I wouldn't recommend trying it.
I mean, even like I don't necessarily. I wouldn't say I diet. I kind of am conscious now about what I'm eating. And when I go like meal to meal without snacking, I get to the point where I'm ready for my meal, and I'm kind of just looking forward to the meal. And it becomes about the meal, and then after I'm done, like, all right, I'm not hungry. I eat my meal. Now it's time to wait till the next meal. And so if you get in that mindset, I can see how that works. Not that fasting.
Are you a nighttime snacker?
I can be, but I'm to the point. I think I started when I started losing weight the first time, like, can kind of mentally block that.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like it's going to hold me up. It's not going to keep me awake. Like, I know, like, my mom, if she's hungry, she can't sleep.
Yeah,
so
I'm like your mom.
That's a tough one, right? You know, if you're hungry and you can't sleep, it's either eat or sleep. Or eat or don't sleep, rather.
Yeah.
And so I'm not like that. I can go to bed hungry, wake up hungry. I mean, there have been times I've woken up and to get, like, breakfast and been starving.
Yeah.
I went to bed hungry, and then I wake up, and the metabolism's working, and you're sleeping, and burning it off, and then you wake up, and you're like, wow, look, the only thing I need right now is food.
Yeah. That'll be us tomorrow.
Probably, yeah.
Because we're going to go out to breakfast tomorrow before we leave. We're actually headed to Atlanta.
Ugh.
We're headed to Atlanta to watch, what day is this? What day is this? This is, it's Friday morning.
You'll probably be listening to this at some point in the future.
Right now it's Friday, July 16th at 1:30 in the morning. We're flying at 1 o'clock.
Basically 24 hours from now, or 12 hours from now.
Yep.
12 hours from now.
12 hours from now we'll be boarding, and we're headed to Atlanta to watch the Revolution play against Atlanta United. I really do feel like I'm going into enemy territory here. I have an ex-girlfriend that's a big supporter of Atlanta, and I'm a vindictive piece of shit, so I hate Atlanta United just because of that. You, not so much. We were talking earlier, and I said I'm not buying any swag. Like, I don't want any of that stuff. But you said you might buy a scarf.
Yeah,
or
it's something. It's something that I've thought about and I never did. And this is kind of the expansion of a bus trip.
Yeah.
Personally, I've done New York probably twice, New Jersey for the Red Bulls, even though the New York team probably half a dozen times at this point.
Philly.
And then Philly. And I haven't gotten anything when I've been there. I'd like to start to maybe get a scarf or get something while I'm there and then kind of keep a collection of the stadiums I've been to.
Yeah.
Just to kind of have some, what I would love to have done is gotten the current Midnight Riders scarf and try to connect with someone in an Atlanta United supporters group and swap. That's not going to happen this last minute. It's something that I've thought about before too, going to the Red Bulls, going to NYCFC or the Union. I've never done, but I'd like to start getting some memento from being at those away games.
Yeah. Some way to remember it.
I wish they had sometimes international matches you'll see them. They'll have the scarves that show the two teams that are playing. Game-specific scarves.
Chelsea.
Yeah, exactly.
When they did that friendly is
right,
a good example.
Exactly. And so I wish they did that in the regular season matches, so it doesn't really matter as
Right.
much. But I wish they did something like that. That would be cool, so it had the Revs logo on it still. But I would like to get something from an away game.
Yeah, no, I understand what you mean. It's strange because for me, like, I have one or two videos from when we went to Harrison, New Jersey, to watch that game against the Red Bulls. I got my money's
You
worth.
got a trip.
Yeah, the
probably
box
top.
truck sideswiping us. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's.
So I have a few pictures from that, and like for me, that's more than enough. But I will say we don't have any pictures of us at that game.
We don't take pictures a lot. We have very few pictures of us at Revs games.
I'm probably going to force the three of us to pose for a photo in Atlanta because that atmosphere. Boy, oh boy! Like if there's any props I can give to Atlanta to draw 72,000 fans, give or take, a game. I mean that is so unique to this country. Sorry, unique in this country. I mean that really is reminiscent of like a Wembley Stadium or a Juventus type of game, right?
There's very few teams in MLS that can draw that kind of crowd. I'd say Seattle is like that, and part of it isn't necessarily that they're selling out, but CenturyLink, or I'm not sure if that's the name of it now, field in Seattle is designed to reverberate the sound, so it sounds louder than it is.
Yeah. And they're doing really well this season. I'm happy for Kellen Rowe.
They're doing really well. They're kind of a dynasty right now in what they've done.
True.
Very good team.
They seem like they're constantly hanging out.
There are a couple other like stadiums that are kind of on my bucket list. Sporting Kansas City is one. Another crowd.
SKC would be fun.
I think it's really interesting.
Go down there and see Namath.
Yeah, that's that's an environment I'd like to go see. But that's 20,000, 25,000 people. You know, it's
and
not
that's the size of stadium that I think would fit the Revs. The Revs do not do well in Gillette, which is the same size as in Atlanta. Atlanta had the built-in excitement for that team when it came into the league.
Yeah, definitely. And that you're seeing that more and more teams coming into MLS. Nashville, when they came in, I think the list to get season tickets, they sold out before. Like, they have a pre-list now, a waiting list, like the Patriots do. In Gillette. And I want to say...
Those games look like so much fun.
I think Austin might. And is it St. Louis that's coming in?
No, Charlotte.
Or Charlotte. They're another team that they've sold a lot of season memberships for their inaugural season.
Charlotte
already.
is 2022, and I think St. Louis is after that.
And so, I agree with you that the Reds need a new stadium.
Yeah. We just need a downsize seat-wise.
My other thing is I think Mercedes-Benz, I haven't been in it, so I can't speak to it.
We'll be able to say in about 2 days.
Maybe we'll do a podcast Saturday after the game, and we'll talk about that experience.
No, I can't. I'm not bringing this whole setup down there. That's.
Yeah, we don't get this.
I say this whole setup like it's more than my laptop, an external hard drive, and my Yeti microphone. But anyway,
we'll watch the suitcase get thrown into the plane. And
yeah, that's the thing that scares me.
Crunch the mic, and that'll be the end of it.
Yeah.
But I would think Gillette Stadium, while it holds 68, 69,000 or whatever the actual number is, it does feel big. I don't know if you get that. Even at Patriots games, it feels very big.
We're away from the action.
Yeah, whereas a Mercedes-Benz, in my head, from seeing it in like Super Bowl and in Falcons games, it feels a little bit more on top of it because it's a retractable roof.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the case. It might not
be.
The
build design is much more vertical than it is horizontal.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas it's kind of
Gillette's
kind of wide.
Yeah, exactly.
It spreads out on itself, and I think that hurts the atmosphere too.
Mercedes reminds me more of like a TD Garden type.
Yeah.
TD Garden's very vertical. Like hockey rinks are very vertical.
Yeah, exactly. Indoor stadiums in general.
Yeah.
Hockey and basketball.
So that might have something to do with the roof and the design there. Speaking of, you're taking a nice sip of. You're polishing off a bottle of Francis Ford Coppola's Diamond Collection Cabernet Sauvignon. Francis Coppola, for those of you who don't know, is a very famed and acclaimed director. He directed the Godfather trilogy, Apocalypse Now, The Cotton Club, Tucker, the Man in His Dream, regrettably One from the Heart, and a bunch of other stuff you've never heard of. What are you thinking about that bottle? That's one of my personal favorites.
It's pretty good. Personally, I'm more of a dry red wine guy myself.
See, I'm the opposite.
I'm a Tuscan. That's kind of where I
Yeah.
And I guess maybe that's because when I drink wine, generally, I'm also eating food, and so I like to kind of pair it with. When I drink wine when I'm at a restaurant, it's usually either Italian or a steak, and so I kind of
steakhouses.
I kind of like the dry. It changes it up from the steak a little bit.
Yeah.
But this is very good.
Yeah, I like. I'm very I cannot stand dry wine, so if you're ever going to drink with me, I mean, maybe this, the bottle that I'm finishing off, this Malbec, and I got to check the bottle here. Santa Julia Reserva Malbec, from Mendoza, Argentina. This is a little dry on the finish.
It definitely was. It was drier than what I'm drinking now.
Yeah. But it's not to the point, like, when I first tasted it, I said it was burned. I think it's also because I had to... the cork was an issue. Trying to decork this. The one bottle opener in my house is currently in my grandmother's room. She stole it. She's a drinker, you know? What are you going to do? It's up there, and it was like 11 o'clock, and it was this whole big thing. But so I had to use a lighter to loosen up the cork, and I think
at that point.
I felt like Bryan Cranston, real quick. Walter White, Jesse, we need a cook. But to get back on track, Atlanta should be a really, really fun experience. We're gonna go down there. We're gonna get some lemon pepper wings at Magic City. We're gonna go down there. We're gonna meet Future and Dwayne Haskins.
See if we have Grubhub, and we'll stay at the Airbnb.
No, I'm serious. I do want to try the food.
If we can get the food and like get there in a way, I'd be very much.
You could definitely order for pickup.
I would think so.
Yeah.
The pickup is just I'm not sure where it is in relation to where we're staying.
That's true.
So
you could Uber, Uber there and Uber back. We'll just be like, hey, Uber driver, if you drive us back, we'll give you a couple wings.
We'll order an extra half dozen. You can have them.
Yeah.
I'm excited to go, but I think the Revs do need a new stadium.
Yeah.
And
something more intimate.
Yeah. There was talk about the site in Everett. That was
Has that fizzled?
I haven't heard anything since.
Well, because it's not going to be decommissioned until like 2027 finish.
Yeah, this has been where they're going to put it has been an ongoing discussion now for the better part of a decade at least.
Yeah.
And there's not really a ton of room in Boston.
Boston's because it's such an old city.
There's no room. There's not a lot. There is no room in Boston to put their stadium. Yeah. That's just. So they're gonna have to put it somewhere.
Why don't they knock down that shitty casino in Everett and build there?
Build it right next. Yeah.
No, build it on the out. Burn down Encore Casino. Let me piss on the ashes, and then we can build the stadium there.
This podcast, of course, Plain Ridge over.
No, Twin River. Come on.
Plain
Ridge is all. There's no table games.
No, but there's a ranking. It's Twin because you can sports bet and you have table games.
Well, you can sports bet at Plain Ridge too.
Can you?
Yeah, there's a lounge.
Is there a lounge? The sports betting's not yet in Massachusetts.
Well, they had horse racing on the TV when I was there recently.
So they have the horse racing. They had the greyhounds that ran. They used to run there.
Oh.
They still might. But what I heard from people is that once sports betting is legal, there could be a scene.
Well, they're in the back, next to the bathrooms. There's like already a setup for like a bar stool lounge.
Yeah, exactly. Because they're owned by Penn, so that would make sense.
But on the opposite wall from that, if you're standing with your back to that and looking, there's that giant wall of that TV, and that's where they had like horse racing. So I thought that some kind of sports betting was there.
I'm not sure. Horse racing might be if it was happening. I don't know.
I don't know.
I know that sports betting, as it stands right now, is not legal in Massachusetts, but it's close.
Okay.
I mean, it's revenue that the state is kind of missing out on.
Yeah, I mean, it was the same issue with legalizing marijuana.
Exactly. Right.
That's billions of dollars, millions, I should say, billions nationwide, but millions here worth of revenue that we are just pissing away for online sports books.
Because it's going to happen, and it's not even online sports books. It's online offshore sports books.
Yeah.
Right, so that money is all going offshore, and quite frankly, it should stay kind of in the state.
And you could tax those transactions, can't you?
Yeah, you would tax. You would. So if you
tax the winnings.
Yeah, if you won, right, you would get a 1099 G maybe, or you'd get some form from the casino if it was above a certain threshold. That
Yeah, it's
you're
like what,
winning.
$600, something
Yeah,
like that.
and then you could also, write off your you keep your tickets and write off your losses would be what would happen. And so you'd only be taxed on the profit.
Gotcha.
If you were keeping your, that's a lesson. If you ever win on scratch ticket, keep your old scratch tickets that you lose on, because you can write those off if it's large enough as a deduction against your winnings.
So you got a 1099. That's okay. That's
you'd
that's
have to win,
Ryan Nee's tax tip of the day.
You'd have to win the standard. It's an itemized deduction, not to get too tax technical. So you would need to have over 12 grand in.
Oh no, I've gone
losses,
cross-eyed.
In losses, or depending on your tax situation, less. But
12 grand in losses. My brother does that in 2 weeks.
yeah, listen, I know people who buy rolls, buy the whole sleeve of tickets.
Yeah, that's actually sort of kind of the best way to do it.
I mean, if there's a winner in there, like a big winner in there, you're gonna hit it.
Exactly.
But the payout on those things is 1 to 0.5 something.
Oh, I'm not. You're better off lighting. Let's say you get the roll of 200 for the $1 scratch sticks. You're better off lighting $200 bills on fire. It's the same as sports betting. No one knows.
Yeah.
It's not like.
I will say on sports betting.
There's no sure bet.
On sports betting, there is no sure bet, but there are people who bet just like the market, almost like the stock market, bet to win. Some of the models that people make are ridiculously accurate.
Yeah, I need to get a nerd of a friend so I can just get rich.
Someone who knows what he's talking. He can tell you what the juice line is.
I need to get a Howard Ratner.
Somebody who knows that it's snowing in Chicago, so the line really should be -3 instead of -4, and you're gonna hit.
Yeah.
But there's no guarantees to it, even with those models. They could miss 100 out of 100, and the odds are slim, but it could still happen.
The odds are slim thick.
Exactly. But circle all the way back to the Revs.
Yes.
Put the stadium somewhere MBTA accessible.
Yeah.
And that makes for a good experience.
Yeah, no, I mean, it definitely seems like we need to be around the T. Because if you're going to put it in, quote unquote, the city, Everett is a 15 to 20 minute walk from a T station.
Exactly. So that might not be.
That's not your best bet. If I'm Robert Kraft and I'm thinking about it financially speaking, if I'm Robert and Jonathan and I say, hey, there's a market here, which there is. You have to maximize your investment for the return. And if you're gonna go and you're gonna do it, you got to do it right. So you got to go in the city. You got to pay that extra, however much. The thing is, he wants it for nothing. He wants the city to just give him shit, which is, that's every sports owner ever.
That's the tale as old as American sports.
Yeah,
teams.
that's so.
You can look at a lot of teams that have moved exclusively because cities wouldn't give them a new stadium.
The Cardinals.
The Raiders were like that.
Not the Cardinals. Excuse me, the Rams.
Yeah,
Sorry.
The Rams.
I knew it was St. Louis.
Dude, it was gonna be the Patriots in St. Louis at one point.
Yeah, and he bought him out and kept him there, which good for him, but just give the Revs what they're owed.
And I will
We're playing on turf.
There's some weird faction of Revs fans, and I won't lie, Gillette Stadium is very convenient,
especially for
you, for all of us, and especially
not me.
A good group of our.
I would benefit greatly from the stadium being in the city.
Exactly, but I'm willing to make the sacrifice to have to go to the city for the better atmosphere.
Yeah.
I think a lot of fans worry about, but the free parking and it's a short commute for me and whatever else.
What do you mean free parking? If you're going to park anywhere close to the stadium, you have to be a season ticket holder.
Well, it's free parking to park at Gillette for a Revs game.
Yeah.
Besides, you're going to be parking by the movie theater.
You're in
out
Guam.
On the other side.
You're walking a mile.
Yeah, but for a Patriots game, that's $50 easy.
That's
not more.
Okay, that's a good point.
So people, and if you were in the city, there wouldn't even be the option to do that.
You pay $8 and you take the T.
Well, I agree with you, but that's the argument they have is you
go to Woodland Station
in the tailgating atmosphere. That's the counter to a move is people kind of stuck in their ways.
Well, tailgating is definitely a tough loss. And I don't know how you could recreate that in the city because you'll never be able to get enough space, like latitude wise, to have a sizable enough parking lot for 25,000 cars.
I think you build up a bar scene around it. If you're asking me, you build a restaurant bar
Well,
scene.
that's what the Everett like proposal has been, right?
Exactly.
There's going to be music and bars and entertainment and sports. I think was like the four things.
And if you look at
It would be a second Patriot Place.
the Columbus Crew Stadium launch, I saw some Revs fans that were there, and there was a bar scene, outdoor bars, outdoor tables and chairs, outside of bars, people drinking, and then kind of marching into the game together.
Yeah.
You could get that going in an Everett. You know, you might not have the nicest scenery around you, but
Fucking Everett, dude. Yeah.
you have a casino.
You're just gonna look across
you look at the- you see
at
the
this
casino,
gilded turd
take
across
take
the
boat,
harbor.
Take a boat back to Boston. when you're done.
Disgusting.
Uh,
Disgusting. Well, listen, beggars can't be choosers, and if that's the way that the cookie crumbles, it's better than Gillette.
just design it nicely.
That's it.
I want very close to the pitch seating and very vertical. Like we were
That's the
talking
other thing.
about earlier.
We're talking about Gillette. We used to sit. We don't sit there anymore, but we were 3 rows back from the field, and we really weren't that close. If I can dare to say, it was close, but there's something about the like, it's pitched at an angle.
Yeah, you're very
Like the
you're very
perfect
low-
angle, because you
you're
got a
very
great,
low for 3 rows back.
you have a great vision of the field, but you're not close.
Yeah, it's tough to describe. Personally, being in Red Bull Arena and a couple other stadiums that are in the Union game.
I'm
you
so upset I
feel-
couldn't go to the
you
Union
feel-
game.
Oh, what a game that was! What a trip that
I'm
was.
still waiting for Vino to give me the goddamn
8-hour bus trip down
with
there.
Monty and them.
Coming home from that, if they lost was just whew.
Well, I'm waiting for Vino to give me the scarf.
The scarf that we got. Yeah.
The Budweiser scarf. I gave him the goddamn ticket. Just give me the scarf. That's all I
Look at my Disney Plus password sooner than you get that scarf.
want.
But
I don't need your Disney Plus anymore.
you moved on.
I've moved on. I'm leeching off my sister-in-law now.
Don't say that out loud. Mouse will kick
Oh.
out your door.
What are we doing in here, boys? Oh,
Ban the account.
I
But
just want to make the most money.
The other soccer specific stadiums, you feel closer.
Yeah.
It's hard to describe it.
It's an
besides
intangible.
saying- it's a feeling, it's not really a something I can actually describe. But
Yeah.
you're there. You're right on top. Red Bull Arena in the 200s, and you're looking down on it, but you feel like
You have a
almost-
bird's eye
You almost
perspective.
feel like you're over the field, not looking at it from 50 yards back
Yeah.
at an angle.
We're 3 rows back, and we're probably, 20 yards away from the net?
And like you'd still expect like some level of
I'm not going to be touching Matt Turner's
exactly.
neck.
But
I don't expect that.
It's the feel. It's more the feeling,
Yeah.
and I think it's.
And that's why that's designed perfectly for football. It's not really well designed for any other sport. Football is so unique and so wide. Like Tom Brady, not Tom Brady, Mac Jones. It's Mac Jones' season. He could throw that ball like 5 yards off the mark and put it 3 rows into the goddamn lower bowl. It feels like. For football, you do feel like you're right there, and you get a great perspective of the whole field.
And then I also think Gillette.
There's not a bad seat in Gillette.
Gillette for soccer is tough again because, like I was saying, like it's very laterally. Like a lot of the seats are lateral
Mm-hmm.
in that the length of the stadium right goes up, and then the 2 end zones it's 50 rows of seats, and that's it. There's nothing behind the fort. There's nothing behind. There's that huge billboard now or screen now.
And I
There's
have to say,
there's no seats.
that screen is so clear. I don't need my glasses anymore.
And it's not like it used to be with multiple screens
Multiple TVs.
together.
Yeah.
Multiple, the lines between that could show up. It looks, at least from our end zone, that it's one picture.
Which is
Insane.
a feat of technological advancement. And to see that in person was so incredible. I mean, it's not there for the Revs. I have
They gotta
no
figure out the
illusions.
Zoom. You got to figure out the Zoom though before football season. Otherwise, you're gonna have people with their heads cut off when it like zooms in a little bit. And
Yeah, well, that's an aspect ratio
Yeah.
issue. So all you got to do is you just boop, pull it out a little bit, and you have a black bar at the top and the bottom, like you would at watching
Yeah.
a movie at home.
I
That's
think
the same idea.
I think they need to learn that they can't run both screens off the same
Feed, yeah.
Yeah, which is tough, but I mean you could.
Or upgrade the cameras and
Yeah.
sacrifice the one that's behind the fort.
Yeah, I agree. But Gillette doesn't build at the end zone; it's not stacked up high enough. Whereas Red Bull Arena, although the Union Stadium is like that too, but it's different. It's tough to. It's a feel.
Yeah,
You need to be more on top of it.
yeah. It should be really fun to see, because I mean, you and I have both lived the ups and downs of MLS, and to see like the best that we have to offer in terms of the fan experience in Atlanta. I mean, I don't know that there's a better marketing tool for the league in terms of just taking a screen cap of a stadium with all the ruckus and the smoke plumes and the fireworks and crap. The Blank family, Art Blank and them, really know what they have. And I'm really excited, genuinely excited. Above all else, and above my petty reasons to not like United, fuck United, throw the mutiny overboard. Above everything else, I'm really excited to experience that and to know where the Revs could go in the future. Because that's the goal that I think every team is now striving for. Not 74,000 fans, but the feeling of 74,000 fans. It's like you said about Seattle. It's loud in that stadium.
Yeah.
It's all built for the acoustics. Nashville, they got Soccer Moses playing like the guitar to open up the game. I mean, it's ridiculous, but it gets people fired up. They're sponsored by Gibson. I'm so jealous. I'm a big fan of Gibson guitars. I don't know. It's in a lot of ways the Revs are close to the roots of MLS 1.0, but it's detrimental in some ways that they have not adapted to the modern strategies of how some of these teams are putting on the show.
I agree, and I think it's tough in a way because you're at Gillette, and I think it's tough because they're good now, and they were good in 2013, 2013 they lost to Sporting in the East Final before Sporting moved to the West Conference. Then 2014 they made the final.
Yeah.
And then
Thanks, Bruce.
A couple of years.
Was that Bruce Arena in the Galaxy? I believe he was head coach. Or 2007.
Robbie Keane's for the game winner, I know that much.
2007 he was coach of the Galaxy, I remember. But we've lost to the Galaxy a couple of times.
But it's...
5-time, always a bridesmaid, never a bride.
They're not... They weren't good.
This is the year.
They were good.
And that's when I signed on.
Like,
the Heaps era?
There are some teams in MLS that just aren't good and don't have good environments. And so I think that it goes hand in hand. Like, Atlanta's good. They have a good environment. Seattle
Not
is
really,
good.
though. Atlanta's struggling the last couple of years.
When they came on, though, like when they started.
Yeah, but that's an
year,
expansion draft thing. That happens with every.
That's a Miguel Almiron and Joseph Martinez thing.
Yeah.
But that's. See, the Reds don't have that luxury of having a time where they can pluck players from other teams and build a nucleus.
Yeah.
And launch it. So.
But I say expansion draft, and then Austin is the other side of that coin. Austin is pathetically mediocre.
Their atmosphere is good though. But I.
Think my God, dude.
But like I would
Verde
like to
Listos. I want to catch a game out there.
I guess my thing is I'd like to see where these teams are after 25 years of ups and downs, but a trend of mediocrity.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what hurt the Revs. I mean, they didn't sell out Gillette. There was a game at Gillette, one of the MLS Cups or MLS playoff games, that had like a good number of fans there. And at the time, I think it might have been an MLS record.
Sounds like 2014.
They were good. No, this is like way
before that.
This is like 04, 05. Like when they made like.
Because 2014, that Eastern Conference Final, that leg where Charlie scored, That was an
That was
incredibly
an-
packed
that was
game.
a-
And
that
you were
was
there,
a-
right?
Yeah, that was a big. That was a fun game.
That was the
Watching
year
that-
before I came on.
I mean, we saw the away leg too at LouWill Arena.
Really?
That was with I think 1,100 of us went down. Like Revs fans went down.
Oh, dude,
They
that
won-
must have been
They won
crazy.
they won 2-1 at LouWill Arena, and I think it might have been their first time winning there. I still don't think they've won a regular season game there.
They tied. That was
Yeah,
the first time they didn't lose when we went, if I remember correctly.
And that was not like players, not in our bus, but players went on buses afterwards. Were celebrating.
Man.
Yeah, it was.
In some ways, I feel blessed that I didn't come in that era in 2014 and 2013-14, and that I came in around 20. I was in the 2015 summer season was my first game, and so I got to see like people become disillusioned with the team into the later Heaps era,
Yeah.
and then the Friedel era, and like having a taste of optimism and like not knowing what it feels like to really be fired up about this team. I'm a ride or die for this team. I was when they were at their worst. I would I would leave college parties. We would have people in my perfect example. There was one night, my sophomore year, we had people over in my pod, and they were partying. We were playing Pong right outside my door in my pod. We were playing Pong, and the alarm goes off on my phone, and I look at I don't know who was there. One of my friends was there. I was like, "Hey, you gotta play for me." I just went into my room, kicked all the people that were in my room out, closed the door, and turned the revs on. And like 2 or 3 people trickled in to watch the game with me, but like most people knew, just let him go, let him do his thing. And so I'm blessed that I didn't see if I came in 2014 and then I saw 2016, I probably wouldn't still be a season ticket holder.
Yeah, it's.
But now I feel like I've helped rebuild the culture in a way. Like I've bought in a psychologically. I've bought in a very strong way.
It's very interesting. I don't know how else to describe it. Because I would go to games before I was a season ticket holder frequently, just because it was like youth soccer night, and the town leagues would all go. Even like Luke and I would go occasionally. Like they were not good.
I wonder how he's doing right now.
They were not good, the team. But like at some point, it's not about the performance. I want them to do well. Obviously,
course.
I'd like them to win. But I'm not gonna be like, they're playing poorly. I'm not gonna be a season ticket. I'm not gonna go to games or anything. They could be in last place, and I'll still be there. I think that's kind of the culture that the dedicated few that go to the game have, but the broader audience doesn't.
Yeah.
So that's why you're not gonna have a solo Gillette Stadium.
Yeah.
I just looked it up. It was 61,000 at Gillette.
For what game?
It was the 2002 final between the
Whoa.
Galaxy, and they lost the Galaxy 1-0.
Bruce?
And at the time was an MLS record. Everything else afterwards has been games at Mercedes-Benz and.
Well, Mercedes-Benz beats that every week,
I
sadly.
mean, Mercedes-Benz went on a stretch there. They were setting the record for 4 weeks in a row.
That was crazy.
But I wouldn't say I kind of expect, even now, I kind of expect them to just be mediocre.
Yeah, well, think about it this way. Last week against Toronto comes out to an early lead. There were boos ringing out from fans.
Yeah.
For the first game that we did not win at
At
Gillette.
home, they were 5-0 at home.
5-0.
5-0 at home until that point.
And we had our backup goalie, personal friend Brad Knighton, friend of the podcast, Brad Knighton. I'd love to interview Brad at some point because he's not a journeyman insofar as that he's been on many teams, but he's an iron horse of Rev soccer. He''s been here forever.
A consummate professional.
Yes, and I feel badly for the treatment that he received. He didn't have a good performance. Anyone can tell you that. Bruce Arena said it himself after the game. I would not defend him, even though I consider him a friend. I sound like Stephen A. Smith right now. Which that's a point.
I was driving myself, or I was driving Gasol and Gasol's Lambos in Madrid.
That's a point we'll get to in a
personal,
second.
I have personal friends
With
this
LeBron
man.
James.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to Stephen A. in a second because I knew that was something you wanted to talk about. But to finish my thought, like there were casual, and it's good that there's casual fans there because it just means more people. I'll take them however we can get them. But and those even so many people in the fort were like,
it was people in the fort that I was hearing that were booing and getting, and it's one of those.
and listen, I have my critiques of the defensive line mostly. But I'm not going to boo the first place team in the East because they're losing one game.
Yeah, I guess it's...
For one bad performance.
People lose sight
They
of the
came out
fact,
flat. Who gives a shit?
People lose sight of the fact that it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
A lot of times. And especially in the way they've made the playoff. Like, it's a playoff in MLS, right, for MLS Cup, which is very different than how soccer works everywhere else but in America.
Mm.
The only other one that might be close is Mexico does I can't think what they call them. They do like a spring and a winter or
Two
fall
different cups.
seasons.
Yeah.
And then the two champions play each other for the overall.
Mm.
I don't watch the league, I make keys, but I have an idea of how it works. I may be butchering that. But most leagues, it's whoever's in first has the most points wins the league. That's it. There's no playoffs. There's no, and in those leagues, it's not so much about winning every game as it is getting consistent results throughout the campaign. And the Revs have gotten some results that they should not have gotten this year.
Oh my God.
I mean, there have
Red
been
Bulls
some
at home?
Exactly. There have been they've battled back from games and quite frankly, stole points from games.
Generally speaking, we've stolen draws. I don't know that we've ever stolen.
But that's a point. That's a point.
Yeah.
The Red Bulls game was at 3 points. They won that one. They were down 1-0.
Yeah, and then the Matt Polster thing happened.
The yellow card happened, and then
People
they
got
scored,
fired up.
and then the red card happened. They won, and but they were on the after the yellow card. They were on the front foot regardless of the red card. But it's not about winning every game. It's about being. They went down. What 2-0 in that game, or 3-0 in that?
No, 2-0 to
2-0
start.
in the game, and it was 3-2.
Well, maybe it was 1.
It was 3-2.
I think it was 1-0 because
they scored twice. They scored twice to start.
Oh, was it 2?
Yeah, because they scored immediately.
Oh, you know what?
after
Yeah, because Will was at that game and I was pissed off. Okay, yeah, it was 2.
They scored immediately after the second because I said it. I was like, if Knighton doesn't let that ball in.
Oh, we're talking about
First one-
Toronto. I thought we were still on.
I thought it was Toronto. Yeah.
Yeah, Toronto was 2.
It
But
was
they were
2-0.
talking about.
It was 1-0 in the Red Bulls game.
No.
In Toronto,
That's what I. Yeah. Okay.
2-0 right away. And I was like, if Knighton doesn't let that in, they don't let the second goal in.
And we also
And they
were
still-
winning because we had plenty of great opportunities
They
to score.
They still peppered the net and then made it a 3-2 game with chances late. They didn't roll over and get rolled 5-0, 5-1. It wasn't one of those score lines. So even though they lost, there's a lot to take away from the game. They kind of played into it. They kind of
Plenty of positives.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what you want, right? You don't want a team just roll over and die on you.
And that would have been the Jay Heaps, Brad Friedel era team would have given up on that game. But this Bruce Arena squad has no quit in them. They don't they're the living embodiment of that meme of the dude from South Park, and he's like, I didn't hear no bell.
Yeah.
They fight to the final whistle.
Definitely.
And that's something to be commended, and that's something that I think sets them apart from Revs teams of late.
Yeah, it's from an, and it's also a Revs of old had players that they kind of built around. Shalry Joseph, who's now coaching the U15s, but
all my homies love Shalry.
Shalry Joseph, Matt Reese. The list goes to Taylor Swellman for years, Clint Dempsey for over to Europe. George Moore. Like, there are a lot of people who played for the Revs
Alexi Lawless
in those years. Steve Ralston. The list goes on and on.
Andy Torman.
You kind of feel that.
They built around. He was a king. He was the
kind
king of the
feel
North.
that- you feel that very similar. There are a lot of good players on this team. They might not all be clicking right now, but they're all there.
Yeah, I think one guy has not lived up to both expectations and potential as Arnor Tristison.
Yeah, I that's a tough TAM deal. You'd expect more, but also like
He's
It's an
come
adjustment. It's an
very.
adjustment.
He has come so close. He should have 3 goals in my mind.
yeah, it's such an adjustment.
Some
to
of those were
MLS.
tap-ins that just he misplayed, and that's that. Like he's someone that I think people are using as a punching bag, not for a good reason. It'd be
It's
one thing if he
tough.
was Kai Kamara and just had no finish.
It's also tough.
This guy has some sweet feet.
It's also tough coming to MLS.
Yeah.
You'll hear that from time to time, and like this has been a thing for a while. Is the United States is as large as Europe, if not, it is larger. If not larger, it is larger.
Suck shit, Brits.
When you're in England and you're playing in the Premier League, your longest trip is a 4-hour bus ride or something. You know, if you're in the South and you're playing Newcastle, maybe you gotta take a plane
Yeah.
once in a blue moon. And unless you're flying across the country, different time zones, different climates, weekly, and that's an adjustment for a lot of players because it's unlike anything else in modern soccer, I would say.
Mm.
And that takes a lot to get used. That takes at least
Well,
half a
Iceland,
season
small-
to get used to.
Iceland is a no. He wasn't playing in. He was in Sweden.
Yeah. So.
But even then in Sweden, it's longitudinally very tall, but
I would imagine there'd be a concept. I don't know.
There's a concentration of
There's
cities
a
in the south.
concentration of teams in the south. Too,
Yeah.
right, and so
Malmo.
you're not traveling as much. It's a very American thing to travel.
Yeah.
A lot for. It's a very American thing to like. The Revs are already in Atlanta probably right now. That's a very American thing. Most countries, soccer, you'd be going the day of.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't need an adjustment because you're going 2 hours, an hour away, and there are 5 teams in London. You're going 20 minutes at the boat, and that takes time. And so, like, I don't like to judge European players that come over here in their first season, even. I'd say first half season, but first season because it's tough. It's unlike anything we've done before.
I would like to believe that when the first goal comes for Tristison
They'll come
on the wing,
They'll come in bunches.
yeah, he'll just catch fire, and everyone will finally see the guy that I saw on the Icelandic national team scoring that goal late in like the 90th plus third.
It's also system. That's another part of it.
True.
Um,
He has such good speed.
Yeah, I think it's tough to say. I think the Revs play a little bit more direct through their stars. Like they play very direct through heel.
I mean, look at Heel has 61.
Heels on the ball most of the time. Whereas
Yeah,
the
61 of those
Iceland-
passes.
The Icelandic national team. I mean, maybe I don't watch a lot of like World Cup qualifiers, Euro qualifiers, but maybe Gylfi Sigurdsson, but there's not really a Carlos Heel on Iceland, so they kind of require more contributions from other players.
Yeah.
I would think. Can't really say. That's how it felt when they made that run at the Euros. They were a team.
Yes.
Whereas the Revs kind of play direct through Heel, Bow.
Which isn't it interesting that when Heel went down in 2019, was that 2019? To make the playoffs? Or was that 2020?
2020. It was last. It was.
Was that last year?
Yeah, it was last year.
I was gonna say, and he went down with a leg injury, right? Calf or something, and for them to stay alive was very interesting because we do fight pretty much all through him. What's that?
As my phone goes off, I think it's Lindsay texting me probably saying
She's still awake.
good night. Yeah, she was probably studying.
Honestly, good for her. It's almost
She's usually
2:30.
up till 2:30 studying.
Wow.
But
she was all worried earlier when we
again,
called
you get-
her,
you
and
get
she was-
off. I mean, she might not have studied. She might just been on her phone the whole time. But she'll get off at work and study till 2 in the morning. She's up later than me most nights, I would say.
And what time does she log in?
She's on the later side of 9:30, 10.
Jesus Christ,
Yeah, I'm on at 9. I'm usually up at 8:30.
buddy.
It's gonna be an adjustment when I have to go back to the office.
Buddy, I don't think you understand how you're fine. You're fine to work as late as you do and to be able to log in.
Yeah,
Be somehow half functional at 8 o'clock in the morning, 8:30 in the morning, 9 o'clock.
It was getting bad in March, and it's gonna get bad once I get back in next month. It's gonna be like up till 3 in the morning.
The two of you guys beat yourselves up.
I'm gonna be sleeping. I'm gonna be logging on at 10:30 because I was up till 3:30 the night before, and I'm not getting on that. Like I need to get some sleep.
Yeah.
That'll be coming soon. But yeah, it's gonna be an adjustment when I have to go back to the office.
Yeah.
I'm not looking forward to it. I already know. Like I'm going in Wednesday, and I probably have to take a 7 a.m. training, 7:30 train. So leave my house at 7. So be ready to leave my house. So it's gonna be like.
Would you go out Route 2 with me? If I get that job, out Route 2. I don't want to say the town because
I'd have to think about it.
It would be interesting to see like what transportation there is to get down.
Personally,
there's got to be North Shore stuff you could ride.
Personally, I know I'm gonna go to the office and I'm gonna move to probably. I mean, just to say it at this point, we're Revs fans. They figure
Boston. Well, you said Everett earlier. I just meant like I don't want to name drop the town I've applied for this job in.
I would probably move to Southie. I would think, honestly. Like,
yeah, get a townhouse in there.
I got a few people. A few friends I know that are in there and stuff. And it's a nice area now.
Not like the old days.
Not like the old days at all.
You know where I live on K Street, don't you?
And so I would consider getting something in Southie and kind of figuring that out with maybe people I work with or whatever. Find someone random.
Or actually, sorry, it's L Street. K Street is the lobbying street where all the lobbying firms are in DC. L Street is one of the projects in Southie back in the day.
Well, they go alphabet and they go number.
Yeah.
That's how they go. I know people's address. A couple of my friends' addresses, and it's numbered streets.
I don't want to be a product of my environment.
We're not quoting this. We're being canceled right now.
I want my environment to be a product of me.
But I really don't want to commute full time. That's going to start in September, and so I honestly probably should be looking for an apartment now. But
you got time.
I haven't been bought.
You got time.
I feel like September's like the big moving day.
Yeah, that's the thing. You'll find something in the fall. Places will be open.
I'm probably just going to look for someone who's trying to sublet or like looking for a roommate and just hop on that for like at least a year.
You're going to live with a roommate.
Oh, definitely. I can afford it.
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying you'd rather live with some rando? Really?
I mean, if they're like in some kind of, if they're in accounting or finance or some kind, I wouldn't just move with a I would vet the person before I live with them.
No, but it's like you have people in our friend group who definitely could afford to make a move.
Yeah, but
would you not live with your friends first? In a perfect world, like I know some people say like I don't want to live with my friends.
I subscribe to that
Really?
ideology a little bit, only because I've seen it go wrong.
Well, true.
And so like I don't.
Fist fights will happen over people not doing the fucking dishes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like I know myself and I know the type of person I am, so I would try to find somebody who lives the way that I live, and I don't know enough. Like, I don't know who I would pick out of our friend group. I'm like, yes, you. And also like there's something you said about kind of broadening the horizon, like having separate groups.
I know all about that from my college days.
I'm never gonna be home.
I was a chameleon.
I'm never gonna be home, right? If I'm working in public accounting.
Yeah.
And so I would theoretically like to live with someone who also would never be home because they also work in an industry like that, rather than like I get home at 4 in the morning and whoever I'm living with of our friend group or someone else is having a party or like having people over, and that's boundaries you set, but also.
How about like you want me to wear a French maid's outfit and have dinner ready?
I'm not the type of person to be like no, and also if I'm not there I can't control what's going on, so that's kind of it for me. There's not really someone who would understand. Like I wouldn't want to be in an environment where I get home from work
and you have to have a difficult conversation.
Not even have a difficult conversation, but see everyone else drinking and watching sports and playing Xbox, and I'm going to want to do that, but I have to go to bed because I have work in the morning. because not everybody in our friend group is at the same spot in life.
Professionally
speaking.
which is fine.
But I would prefer.
I mean, look at the two of us right now. 2:30 in the morning. We're recording a podcast.
I'm off tomorrow. I took tomorrow off.
Yeah, we're fine.
Day off.
I will say this is not something I generally like to do because I'm a guy who likes his sleep, but sacrifices need to be made. Generally speaking, I'm a subscriber to. You need to embody what you want, so I try to get in bed by like 10:30, 11. I don't fall asleep very well either. I have insomnia, but like anything I can do to this chair is creaky as shit. I need to get some WD-40 for this thing.
Get those joints figured out so you don't spike the mic.
Yeah,
that's not what I want.
Not what we want. See, there we go. There's the chair. It's not Teddy. Do you remember? You probably barely remember it because I know that episode, the lost episode, was foggy. But Teddy ripped ass loud.
I don't remember that.
Oh, I got to show you that recording.
That episode's a blur.
He ripped ass loud late into the episode.
The yellow blur. That I remember a couple of things I talked about, and that's about it.
Yeah, that is
that's foggy. I go in and out on that.
Jerry Simp whiskey
Jerry
and
Simp.
the Yellow Brick Road.
I mean, the Yellow Brick Road story kills me.
Yeah.
Not to be the dead horse, but that one.
I wish that I was self-confident enough to release that, but I know
we're burying that. That's getting buried.
Yeah, I just can't.
We can take some. We can maybe listen to it as a group and not try to recreate it, but talk about some of the points again sober and not out of our minds.
Yeah.
The Yellow Brick Road story is a good story.
I don't think that Teddy did it justice.
No, I also don't.
Not that he was drunk, because he wasn't. It was just the lateness of the hour.
And I was also interrupting him because I was drunk.
Yeah. You were bad. You interrupted Wing a few times talking about golf.
I interrupted him. I was trying to hype up his story. He was gonna be like.
Well,
This was gonna be how he told the story of his birdie. I hit a shot and then I hit a shot and then I tapped into the birdie. You gotta give it some luster.
Yeah, that's true.
I have had my dad come home from a round of golf and tell me all 18 holes that he played shot for shot. I mean, I was 150 yards out and I stuck it and then I missed the putt, it lipped out, and then I tapped in for my par and then went to the next one.
Oh, God bless your dad.
Oh, he can go shot for shot in his round. You gotta give it some life. You gotta make it creative.
The panache.
Yeah, you gotta give it a little exaggeration there.
Yeah.
Maybe add a foot to the putt. Add a foot to the shot. A couple 5 yards to the shot you hit in.
Yeah, exactly, because it's showmanship.
Yeah, exactly. A Wing would just be like, yeah, birdie did. That was it.
I just wish I could have been there for that.
It was
just
impressive.
that hole, because that is a hole that
I don't think I birdied it. I've played.
I don't think I've parred that hole.
I've parred that hole. I don't think I've birdied it. That's probably
my first. I always toss my first shot into the woods off left. It is like, I don't know if it's the way that the tee box is pitched, or if it's just the fact that there's a magnet out there that sucks the balls in. But I never throw a shot. I never throw an iron left. When have I ever thrown? My iron always goes right because I knife it.
Yeah, you gotta. It's tough. I throw my shots right on that hole because I bail out. That's my issue on that hole, and I always end up on the hill. And he hit a shot, and he said don't go in. And I was like, that's staying. Like I could tell it was staying up, and it landed in kind of like the rough off the cart path, which is honestly probably the best spot. It's flat. You're probably closest. And I hit a nice iron in. That was it. I was like, all right. I walked up. I was like, all right, now hit a putt one time. So
how deep was he? How? Pardon my voice crack. How deep was his putt?
Like a 4-footer probably.
Okay. Not a gimme.
Not a gimme, but not.
I mean,
nothing,
shit. A 2-footer's not a gimme for us.
Nothing. He could have lied down. He would have been. The putt would have been inside him. So it was a 3-footer, and he nailed it. He spent his time reading it though. He told me to go and Liam to go and me to go.
That's how you know he's like.
Yeah, he's locked in on trying to read the line.
I was so happy for him to make a birdie. If Teddy makes a birdie before me, I might quit.
I should have 51 on the front to his. I don't know what he shot left. I forget. And then we tied score wise.
Yeah, that's not a good front for you.
That's so bad. That's a bad front for me.
My best 9 holes of golf ever was in the pouring rain in the Cape for the 4th of July weekend, and I shot a 49 in the pouring rain. And I was playing with Danny, my brother, and you know him. We were scoring it correctly. Now the thing is, he was giving us putts. He's very
Cape Golf. That's Cape Golf.
yeah.
That's
he's
Cape
very
Golf.
you can have that, and it's like
my
a
grandfather was like that when we played that.
It's like it's I 50-50 kind of putts for me. It's not like I'm making that 90% of the time. Like he was very generous.
Yeah, I don't love golf.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I personally don't love golf. Like,
so I don't count that round in my head.
you're beating yourself at that point.
Yeah,
like,
because you cheat. You're not beating
you're
yourself.
not
You're cheating yourself.
You're cheating yourself. It's like, I guess like, basically golf is like, you can say you shot whatever you shot.
Yeah.
Fine, that's great. If you actually get a handicap, you're gonna put your scores in, and it's gonna take the 5. Throw out the highest and the lowest, and it takes there's a whole calculation that goes into it. If you fudge your scores, you're gonna get found out at something, because you're gonna go to a tournament or play a match, and you're gonna stroke off somebody, and you're gonna get 5 shots when you really should have gotten 6, and you're gonna lose 9 times out of 10, because you're disadvantaged. The only thing you do when you give yourself a lower score is you hurt yourself.
Yeah.
And like finding that out is one of the bigger lessons. And even to the point, like, I played the round the other day by myself. There were a couple of times that I took another ball and I was like, let me hit another shot just to see if I could do it. Let me go play my first ball.
Yeah.
Because like I'm out
or
there,
you take the drop
I'm
penalty.
out there alone, like there's no one else out there. Like I might as well work on my game also.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still playing the first ball that I hit and trying to play it to the best of my knowledge of the rules of golf in terms of drops and that stuff.
Yeah. No, you have made me a better golfer in terms of etiquette when it comes to drops. You specifically, I see you say, okay, well, I tossed it into the woods. I'm hitting 3 now, and there's only so many times I can, go 50 yards up, drop, and say I'm hitting 2 before I start to.
Rock and I, like, 'cause we used to play a lot by ourselves, like with each other.
Yeah.
We're both very conscious of what we do when we play around the golf, and especially when we play with ourselves. We played probably 20 rounds over the summer.
Yeah.
At like 6 in the morning, the 2 of us, just the 2
Oh
of
my
us.
God, those 6 a.m. rips at Wentworth were tough. For me, I'd be waking up at 4:30.
That was me and Rock playing at 7 in Bridgewater. I had to pick him up and get the coffees on the way. I was waking up at 4:30. I was waking up at 4:30, leaving my house at 5.
The baby powder would be hitting my balls before 5 o'clock, and I'd be like, my whole body would just be asleep. I'd be sleepwalking to the coffee maker.
We played by us, just the 2 of us that one summer, like at least a dozen times, if not more, until I started studying for my exam and I kind of fell off. And like the 2 of us are very conscious about, we throw a ball in the water, great. Like let me see if there's a drop area. If not, let me re-tee, hit, or let me go like parallel to where I went in and kind of like, trying to keep like. He'd ask me, like, where do you think I went in? I'm like, oh, I think you went in here. Like, where do you think I went in? That kind of stuff. And try to really, we're not putting tees on the ground on our point of entry, but we're kind of conscious of that because.
Yeah. Well, listen, this isn't the tour.
Exactly.
The tees and the measuring and all that. Like, you just eyeball it to the best of your knowledge, like you said, and it makes you a more versatile player.
It's I also speak from a position of like. My family is very golf intensive. Like very golf focused and very like not by the book. Like my cousins aren't as much because we're young. Like my grandpa, my uncles, my great uncles.
Yeah.
They understand the rules of golf, and if they're playing a match, it's going to be by the rules of golf. To the point that there was a time my uncle was on a cart path and took relief, and like they called a penalty on him because he was still standing on the cart path. He took his ball off and dropped it, but he was still standing on the golf cart or path to take his shot. And they're like, you didn't take full relief, that's a stroke. It's like, what are you talking about? The ball was not on the cart path any longer. I took, and they're like, no, you can't be. And they're pulling up like rulings about.
Oh God.
So. Now that's extreme, but also.
Yeah, but if I'm taking relief of a cart path, you bet your sweet ass I'm getting as close to the fairway as possible.
You know.
Like think about it, Stony Lee.
Yeah.
I'm up against the concrete, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna take relief, and I like go to my bag, I take the driver out, and I'm taking 2 driver links. My driver is like 44 inch long because I'm 6'4", and I basically I'm at the edge of like I'm not on the I'm in like a first cut of the rough as opposed to this thicker stuff. I mean, I can't understand somebody that doesn't want to take as much as you can get.
I mean,
maybe situationally. I don't know.
It's situational because it was one of those. He got an advantage by where he dropped it.
Yeah.
Because trees or sight lines or whatever it was. I mean, my uncle had to re-tee, so he went out of order on one of the holes. Like, you know, this is extreme, but also it is the rules of golf, right? Like, it's in the rule book. I can find the rule book. I can find the page where it says that that's the way it's supposed to be played. And so I'm very conscious of that because I play with them a lot. And so I know that, like, I know how to count my score legit, and then also I'm just gonna drop. Like, even if you lose a ball like off a tee shot, you're supposed to re-tee. That's the rule. Like, I always drop up because we're trying to play fast golf.
Yeah, it's pace of play at that point.
You're supposed to re-tee. Or because it's not always it's not always staked, so it's a lost ball. And then there are other rules. I mean, you can drop in the fairway now, I think, for 2 strokes instead of 1. There are other.
At that point,
like,
just take it out of the rough. I mean, the
fairway
obviously makes it.
Well, because the point is, like, the correct drop is re-teeing, so you can re-tee and be hitting 3, or drop parallel in the fairway and be hitting 4. It's very situational.
Yeah.
And the reason they do that.
That's when Phil Mickelson comes in and he says, "Listen, hey, I got this ground under repair," and
the reason
he's a wizard.
The reason they did that is because you're playing a match and you're walking and you're on a real course and there are people behind you. You realistically can't re-tee.
Right.
So if you lose your ball, like, what are you to do? And so if you think about it, you re-tee.
That's why I usually take it 25 yards back towards the tee.
You're
drop.
laying 3.
Yeah.
You're laying 3. You hit your tee shot, and you're laying 4, or you're 1 to the drop. You're hitting 3. You're laying 3, hitting 4. That's why they did the 2-stroke, because if you hit it in, that's 1. You drop for the 2-stroke penalty. 2-3. You're laying 3, and you're substantially in the same spot you would be in if you went back and re-teed, because you theoretically land close and you'd be in the fairway, and
one would hope.
Exactly. It's simpler. It's easier said than done.
Yeah.
But
it keeps the pace of play up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there are rules like that too that are in play now.
Gotcha.
You have to consider, and so I won't say I scored 100%. Like, I'm not like dropping tees down and measuring where.
But you're certainly the most regimented and strict of the other golfers that we'll play with.
Yeah, and I played Wentworth the other day and I lost the ball in the water and that was it. So, like, I also didn't lose a ball. So there wasn't really a situation where.
Meanwhile, I lost. When we played 18 at the Cape, I probably lost 6 or 7. It was just a bad round for me. I couldn't drive to save my life. I've opened up my I've weakened up my right arm, and that seems to have helped for me to keep the club face square as I come through. Because if I'm more, following the V idea with your thumb and your forefinger, I turn over the club face a little too much. But when it's open like this, it's so much easier. I don't know.
It's all personal.
Personal feel.
It's all personal feel. I pull. Sometimes I pull. Sometimes I'm starting to point. I understood what I was doing when I was slicing, so that's kind of resolved. I still have that kind of shape, but it's more. I'm not losing it right.
It's just a fade now.
It's more of a fade.
Yeah.
Because I understand.
Where's that a draw? I don't remember either.
I
Which is why
I
we're
lose
changing
distance.
topics
I
to
lose-
Stephen A. Smith.
Oh, jeez.
What the fuck are you doing, Stephen? Shohei Ohtani? What did he do to you?
What we talked about before we came on? They're auctioning off the jerseys now from the All-Star game.
Yes.
And Shohei Ohtani's is going for over $100,000. The next closest is $2.5 grand. That's like a 50 times difference between Ohtani.
All right,
and-
Mr. Tax Accountant.
It was 45 is what the article said, or the post said.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just
yeah.
gonna round up to 50 because that sounds
It sounds
more
smarter.
of an-
Yeah.
He doesn't need to say a word, and he could still be the face of baseball.
His game speaks for itself, Stephen. And
I
I
don't
don't
know
care who you are. The man is the second coming of Babe Ruth. He will have injuries. He already has had an injury. His career will be 5 good years. 5 great years, I should say.
What a special 5 years those will be.
And he's a unicorn. You're never going to see a guy like this. Is a once in a lifetime opportunity to watch a guy who can lead off and starting pitch in the All-Star game. What a two-way player. I mean, what are we talking about here? And you're worried about if he can't speak perfect the
I won't lie
Queen's
to you.
English?
I won't lie to you. I don't think I've ever heard him say a word in Japanese or English. And
Yeah,
I
he's a
still
man
don't-
of few words.
But I personally have not. I don't think I've ever heard him speak. I know who he is. I know what he looks like. I know that he can ball. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's such a heave of a comment.
Well, you know,
That's
Stephen.
shock value.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
purely shock
That's
value.
his game. That's his scam. Everybody has their scam. What did I tell you earlier?
Yeah.
Everybody has their scam,
He's
and
a-
it
he's a
just
shock
happens
value.
to be that is his scam.
It's like the mainstream BB's going for shock value.
It's like I don't understand, and like there are guys who maybe aren't great people in the MLB that might deserve to be questioned on some of their shortcomings as individuals and as players. Shohei Ohtani is a sweetheart.
Dude, they cut to him, and he's playing in the dugout, trying to get the step in the dugout, and him and the interpreter and 2 other players are trying to lob a ball so it bounces once and stops on the step. He's out there playing a game.
He's a kid in a
he's
candy
kid,
store.
He's a kid at heart.
Yeah.
And that's just it's so refreshing to see for a sport that has such an identity crisis.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's
don't
getting-
tell Johnny that.
It's getting better. It's getting better.
We gotta have him on this.
Oh, jeez.
Just get him talking about how
He
baseball
can't.
was better when you could truck the fucking catcher.
Can't. Yeah, exactly.
That would be bad.
As a catcher who's been hit before, it is not fun.
He was like,
I
yeah,
got
Ryan had a few collisions, and you're like, yeah, I'm against.
I got slid into. It was
Studs
not.
up.
It was less. It wasn't. I wasn't trucked. Like it poked me eye once. That was a tough one.
Ooh.
That was not a fun one.
I didn't know you were a catcher.
Yeah, I was a catcher
Huh.
until like
Interesting.
until like the big diamond. I was defensive. I didn't have the best arm, but I was very good at defensive and calling a game.
Hmm.
Especially back in the little diamond. Once I got a big diamond, I kind of was like, I don't really want to do this as much.
Hey, listen, my story with baseball, you've heard it before. You can distill it down to one statement. I was so bad that my father was my coach and I was still benched. So, when you
Yeah,
talk about
listen,
like when I got to the big diamond,
I've got benched before.
no, you didn't. You've gotten benched. You've gotten.
I've mouthed off to my dad.
No,
before.
you've gotten benched. I never started. I was the starting pitcher for like 4 batters, and I could not throw a strike. It was either bouncing in the dirt twice before it reached the plate, or it was going over the catcher's head. I was not a baseball player. I tried my best. I had fun. I could hit okay, half decent. Yeah, I wasn't hitting any home runs, but I had a few doubles in my day. A few stand-up doubles in my day, hitting it deep. Hit her hard, right? John Daly.
I
Hit him hard.
had a lot of doubles. I legged out a couple triples. I got thrown out at home once trying to leg out inside the park here.
Ooh.
Um,
Did you have wheels?
I didn't. I was big. I mean, back when I was playing, I was big.
You probably look so
I-
good in those baseball
I was
pants.
quick. Even when I was big, like I would like. To
I got
think
some
of
pictures of
myself-
you.
I would like to files. I would like to think of myself like I have when I play baseball
Fucking
anyway. When I was
files.
in my like middle school and even elementary, like I could move. I had some reactions.
Yeah.
I had long legs. I could kind of leg things out. I wasn't the fastest. I wasn't gonna outrun anyone, but I wasn't slow. And then also my dad was just a windmill at third base, so.
Oh, he sent everybody?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The amount of times I can distinctly picture. I used to take a big round at third. I used to probably hurt myself running home because I took such a wide round at third just to kind of get the momentum coming. And I can just picture running to third and see my dad standing there at the windmill like, go, get on your horse, was always the
line
coming around third base.
Yeah.
But I got hosed one time at home, trying to leg it inside the park. I wouldn't say I hit for power, decent bad. I hit maybe 2 home runs in my career in the little diamond and one in the big diamond. But
Ooh.
I mean, it was a short flip.
Hey, guess what?
It
It's still a home run.
was a long pop fly.
It's still a home run.
Buddy,
I was grounding out to like short most days.
But
I was hitting for like decent contact, and it was always just going straight down and to the left.
But I mean, I had a pretty good. I mean, I don't know. You ask Sean's dad, he probably has my average from kindergarten all the way through.
He's gonna bring up the books.
He's got the books. I used to be like decent. I was never like a superstar. But I mean, I was one of the players. There was a few of us that played with a lot of emotion when we played.
Yeah.
Sean's one of them. Like TJ could be one of them at times. Who else? There's a couple other people that were very loud. In terms of like, I may not play the best, but I would also give like 100% when I was playing.
Yeah.
We had a good team. We never won the summer ball, the Hawk championship, whatever it was. We had some good teams. We had 9-1. We went like 8-2.
Well, skill without effort is dead in my mind. Giving 100%. If I was building a team, I would look for those players. Not the guys who are the best are gonna be picked first, but the gem, like sixth man, if we're using hockey analogy types, are the ones. Sixth man is like basically MVP, and those are players who are willing to just leave everything out there for every single game, playing it like it's their last. And that was something that I felt for soccer when I played in high school, that I felt I was able to bring to the table and earn me my captaincy as a senior. I was not, strictly speaking, very good, but I was the first guy on the field and I was the last guy doing sprints, and that sort of thing goes a long way.
Yeah.
When your talent is there, but it's not, you're not a star. But once you figure that out and you notice that, and you know that you can work harder than the star, because the star is just, oh, my talent's. My brother Jason is a perfect example. Such a lazy player. He had all the talent in the world, but he wouldn't work. And if we had the money to put him into some development, like select programs and stuff, he played for the Walpole Express for a time there in hockey. But if we had the money, he could have gone pretty deep. He was a good player. Injured his shoulder and had some other injuries, but broke his arm once when he was playing for the Express. That was not good. But I look at him and I see, I don't want to say wasted talent.
Hard work beats talent. Talent
Absolutely.
Work hard. It's like and it's such a cliche to say, but I mean,
it's true.
Yeah, we that was the Plainville, as I say it now. Our team.
It's fine.
Our team. No one's gonna find me. Our team was good for a time. Like, we were a good group of guys. The coaches, my dad, Mr. Olson.
Yeah.
Were on us, and that was it. And yeah, I don't think there was anybody. There may have been a couple of players who weren't giving their all, and we're just kind of talented. But I would say on the whole, we kind of.
Also, Mr. O had a way of picking good kids.
Yeah, we had a good team.
You didn't have any bad seeds.
We had a good team atmosphere, and I also think I don't know, we were all close, so that made it a lot easier too. Like we were all friendly. I mean, it's mostly TIFF time and like that's half the team.
TIFF time.
That's how.
Not including me or Will.
I mean exactly. It was. I mean, look, me, Wing, Rock, T, Shawnee,
John Needle
when we were playing Big Diamond, Liam when we were playing Big Diamond. So that's 7 right there.
And I believe there's 9 people in the group chat.
We were playing Little Diamond. It was the 5 of us, and then maybe 12 kids total, 13 kids total. So I mean, a good 5 out of 13. And Tebow. So there you go, 6 out of 12.
He's someone that I don't think I've actually ever met.
Half the team, and like, it's hard to describe. It's hard to describe it.
What are you doing adding Will into TIFF time? That's dropping a neutron bomb.
I wanted to see the chaos.
That's a lit match into a tinder box.
I had to be the Joker walking away from the hospital and watching it explode in the background. And also the trigger not working, and they only had one take, so like trying to make it work while it was going off.
Pressing the button and smacking the back of it and shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I wanted to see the chaos.
Chaos has reigned.
They'll probably hear it.
Chaos has reigned.
It's funny. It makes me laugh.
Will has been a shot in the arm for that group chat. That group chat was pretty stale, I won't lie.
It needed some new life.
Yeah.
It did. And so it was very reactionary.
Some individuals not happy, but fuck them.
That's fine. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's not his group chat. It's the group's group chat.
Yeah.
It's fine. I mean, I think I could get half the group. I think I could get more than half of the group to support that decision.
You get Teddy.
It's hysterical. It's so funny.
You get Teddy and Wing for sure.
It's so funny because Will will say something, and Will and Shawnee's dynamic.
It's
just
perfect.
Fun to watch.
It's perfect.
It's good to watch.
Yeah.
And it's so like
it's unstoppable force,
it's
immovable
genuine,
objects.
It's genuine, and it's just there's no. At the end of the day, it's just like talking the group chat or talking we're together, but it's just so funny to witness.
Yeah.
And so it was honestly reactionary to Teddy getting added to PCD. Was honestly what went through my brain at the time. I was like, how's that?
That's true because we added Teddy to PCP, which is, for those of you who don't know, the very highly exclusive group chat of the board of directors.
It's where we talk crap about the audience of this show.
The Shermers, I believe is what Will calls you. The Shermers. I don't know. I thought that Shermers were people that took shrooms. It turns out Shermers are people that dip cigarettes in LSD and smoke them. And so that's Will's term. He wants that to be the term for viewers of the podcast. Okay. But yeah, the PCP, we added Teddy into that just like on a whim.
It was because Will, Teddy, you and I were in the basement, and we were like, we might as well add Teddy. Because
Teddy at this point, Teddy helped me with the Twitch channel.
Exactly. He's basically like your mom.
He's my personal assistant.
He's the intern.
He's
on the Twitch.
Unpaid.
The unpaid intern.
Yeah.
He's in it for the glory. And
resume booster mostly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A statement of work. He's an SOW. That's what he needs. He needs his CV to get be on the resume. And so we added him, and then I was like, yeah, we might as well add Will to TIFF time. It did, and it worked. It gave it new life.
It did.
Will responds to what Paul and I send, or whoever sends, when people weren't.
Aiden's a big time. Aiden's big. Are you talking about TIFF time?
I'm talking about TIFF time.
Oh,
because
sorry.
I Will getting added created this new energy. And also, they can all say...
No, there's a tension.
They can all say, yeah. Everybody likes Will. Ask any of them, they like Will.
There's a tension.
I don't care.
There's a tension.
I bet you we could take an anonymous straw poll of the members of TIFF time, and more
Yeah, but they don't they like him as a person. And listen, Will, if I could pick anybody outside of my family to be in my wedding, like, I already have 4 older brothers, plus whoever my future wife has for men in her immediate family. It would be very difficult.
Standing room only at that wedding.
It's going to be very difficult to insert another groomsman, but Will Hardiman certainly tops that list. He is by far my best friend in this world. That said, they can say they like him, but he is an acquired taste on the phone. He is so willing and able to just say whatever the fuck he wants on the phone, and we'll find it funny, sure, but I don't know that the TIFF time people were ready for that.
Well, let them, if they would like to, they can remove him.
Oh, I don't think you can remove somebody, can you?
You can.
Oh, you can?
Definitely.
In a Snapchat
You
group?
have to be able to.
I think you could just leave, not remove somebody. Jamie, can you pull that up?
Let's see. We'll do some research.
Teddy, can you pull that up?
I've attached you to Revs Team 2.0. Let's see.
Excuse me.
You can't.
Well, while you're doing that, I want to tell a little story because for some reason I just looked over to my left. And the Vectrex is here. And you, outside of Will, and I would love to have this conversation with Will, but you are someone that has seen the ups and the downs of my experience with procuring the Vectrex. And you might be, more so than Will, the only person that is able to admire it for what it is.
I guess you can only add members.
Yeah, you can't delete them, I told you.
Well,
They're going to make a TIFF Time 2.0 again.
Let them.
Hey, I don't give a shit. But onto the
Let's
Vectrex.
people at the golf course. I'm gonna say that right. I'm gonna say that right now. Text is the way that golf gets organized in this group chat.
Yeah, there's no more messages
I get
to TIFF.
texts.
Yeah.
I get Teddy texting me daily, be like, "Want to golf with these people?" Like,
What about Liam?
I can't.
Liam texts into TIFF all the time asking to go. Teddy and Liam should go do a twosome.
I just knock. If I want to golf with Liam, I just go. Liam, you want to golf? Or I walk downstairs and I go, Liam, you want to golf?
Yeah.
I'm playing at this time, and he goes, yeah or no. He stole the card in my trunk. I'm gonna say it. I hope he listens to this down the line and hears me say that. I went out to my cart 5:30 in the morning, and I was like, "He went golfing yesterday. I bet you he took the push cart." Sure enough, it was in his trunk. Still is. So I'd backpack it. Poverty.
No fun.
It was cards. It was cards only at Wentworth. That's how bad it was. Cards only. Cart path only. The entire course. Like they had like a sign. It was like no exceptions. It was.
We have had an exceptional July for rain.
It's been very wet lately. Like just a lot of rain.
Yeah.
I spun. Were you there when I spun out in the golf cart? Oh my god. A couple days. When did we go?
I haven't gone since we went to Stony Lee before the rain happened.
It was when. It was when I was gonna maybe come over here, I think, and I said no, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna rest, and then I ended up going golf.
Yeah, with Liam.
Yeah, and literally I went on to the.
That was after we went the fishing excursion, which we need to talk about.
Oh Jesus!
If you don't mind.
I don't even know what the situation on the boat is still.
Uh-oh.
I can talk to my dad about it.
You know what? Then let's table that discussion.
We
we still got the Vectrex to talk about.
But so it was after the par 5, and I hit, or it was on the par 5, and I hit my shot and went left.
The par 5. What is that? Fifth.
Fifth. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I hit it left. Or into the other fairway. And I saw the guy's ball in the fairway, and I was like, that's not mine. Liam's like, I think that's yours. I was like, all right, let me go check it. It wasn't. I saw like a logo on it. I was like, it's not mine. So I stopped and started to turn. I didn't stop hard enough, and I went.
You fishtailed?
I fishtailed on the fairway of the 7th hole.
Did you dig it up?
No, I didn't dig anything up, so it was fine.
Okay, you just slipped.
You
lost traction.
I was sliding.
I'm happy I haven't gone to Wentworth
I was
then.
laughing. I'm like drive by like.
This man is fishtailing his golf cart, and you're laughing. You're laughing.
If I tore up the course, I would have felt miserable. But I looked back. I was like, okay, it's still fairway.
No, yeah, you just lost traction. It
Yeah.
wasn't like you were digging it up. Yeah.
But that was a fun one. But
I wonder if you know
when
how
I
they
got-
live
when I
in
got
Tokyo.
that morning, they were taking they had a tractor, like a front loader, and they were taking gravel and trying to build the cart paths in again because they were flooded.
Yeah, I
That's how
remember you
bad
said
it was
that.
raining.
No quick dry?
And it rained, no quick dry.
Well, that was a joke, guy. Yeah,
Yeah,
of course it was.
I mean,
Sure.
They could have put it in the. They could have put it in the cart paths. They probably would have been fine. You just can't put it on. I thought he meant on like the fairway. I was like, It started raining on me for a minute there. I was looking at my umbrella
Yeah.
when I made the turn, and I was like, it's gonna pass. And I didn't.
That's one thing I have. That's one shot I got in my locker, I'll tell you, is I got a fat umbrella just chilling in the car.
Took took out a couple of rugs out of the fairway. Had to go replace them.
You always feel bad about that.
Well, because when it's wet, it's just like, yeah, there it goes.
Yeah.
At least when it's dry, you kind of hit it sometimes, and you don't always pull it up. Oh, I took out some. And it just sounds wet when you hit. You can just it's like squish.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was not. Left a couple of shots short. That's not pleased. Did it on a couple of holes that the grounds crew were working on. I was like,
oh no.
I mean, they were working on every.
You got
hole.
like a 16-inch rug that you just pulled out.
They were working on every hole because it was that bad.
That sucks.
Bunkers were flooded.
That sucks.
They were trying. God bless them. They were trying to make it ready for the afternoon, I guess. But and it looked in good shape, but you could tell it got.
Well, you knew it wasn't going to be dead.
It didn't hold. That course doesn't hold water great anyway.
Yeah.
So
there's not really great drainage.
Yeah, there isn't.
Some of those fairways bow in, like there's divots.
If they have like water sources on the course, they could slope it to the water, but they don't.
Yeah, the design is not amazing for that.
Yeah, I don't design golf courses, so I can't say how they should do it better. I think they're kind of working with what they have there.
Yeah.
But it does not drain at all. There are certain holes that don't drain.
Yeah.
There are some that do. But back to the Vectrex.
Back to the Vectrex.
It's completely hard pivot.
This, as I was trying to set up earlier, has been my gaming white whale for a long time. To give you some background, the Vectrex was released in 1983 or 82, just before the gaming crash. The great gaming crash where the Atari Vectrex, they had Atari Vectrex. Oh, that would have been a system. The Atari 2600, excuse me. They had a bunch of copies of E.T. that they buried in a New Mexico landfill. That's very famously what happened. But anyway, this thing came out. It's vector-based graphics, so it's very sharp. The image is very clear.
I can attest it is very sharp.
And
when you're playing it.
It's so wildly different than the way that video games develop. Because video games, you had that vector at the time. Perfect example: Asteroids. Excuse me, like an arcade cabinet for Asteroids would have vector-based graphics, and a Super Mario Brothers would have pixel-based graphics, bits, right? 8 bits, 8 pixels. So, vector. I'm butchering the history because I'm not a video game nerd, so much as I am a fan of the Vectrex. But in any event, this was just like a different way that games were made. From like the bottom up, foundationally, at the time, and there's a huge homebrew community for it. But this is the 4th Vectrex I've ever seen in my life. Is the one that I own. They're very rare, exceedingly rare nowadays. Some estimates say that there's only a few thousand of these left out there. Some say a bit more. There wasn't even a million of these sold at the time, and you got to think as time has gone on.
Age and wear.
Yeah, this was 19. This is 40 years ago.
I mean, those have to be well kept to still be functional even now.
I just ordered a $30 dust cover for this, just because of the dog hair and everything.
You might as well keep it in good shape.
Yeah, and the first one I ever saw, I was at PAX East. I believe it was 2015 or 2016. It must have been 2016 because it was the spring of my junior year of high school, and they were showing off. What's that game?
That would have been 2015. We graduated 2016.
Yeah, but it was. Oh yeah, so 2015.
Yeah,
2015.
exactly.
It was the spring of my junior year. That's right. Sorry. Good catch.
Not to shrug up, but it's like.
No, you're a math guy. I get it.
Back in, but PAX East.
2015, I suppose. What's that game? With the Australian woman, and she's in like a yellow jumpsuit, and there's like an ape dude, and he's running around. It's like a first-person shooter.
Oh God.
Overwatch.
Yep.
They were showing off.
That's how you describe it.
That's how you describe. How else are you gonna describe it?
I think that's a pretty. I mean, I guess that.
That's an apt description. Those are the mascots for the game.
I guess people would understand.
You got that Australian bitch. She's running around in the Kill Bill outfit.
I believe her name is Tracer.
Sure.
I don't actually
Not
know
Nebulous Tracer.
I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah, that sounds right. And they got an ape.
I get in the horn with some people.
They got an ape in there, and he's like, I don't know, an ape, and he's British, I think. But in any event, they were showing that game off. That was like the big pull for PAX East that year, and up on the second floor of the convention center, there was this room where there was just a bunch of different video game systems, and you could like basically give your ID. They'll hold your ID. You get the console's controller, and you could go and you could play these systems. And over in the corner, like there was a ton of Wii's and Wii U's, GameCubes, the usual. The Wii U, gross. Well, at the time, Smash 4 was really big.
That was like the new system at the time.
Yeah. So, but obviously, tons of people were playing Melee. Ridiculous amounts of Melee going on. I think half of that room was all Melee, just 1v1s and stuff.
Project Emery, no talk.
PM. You
PM
can't even get that anymore.
I know.
I had it.
Brawl mod, right? Is that
yeah.
Mod off? Yeah.
I believe I still have it. I did. It was. I have to see if I have that SD card anymore. In any event, so I was up there, people playing Melee or whatever, and I see in the corner, I see the Vectrex, and now I had seen videos from. The account is now called Lord Carnage, I believe. He's like now he makes on YouTube. He makes like comic books and shit. But back in the day, he was known as, for the OGs, Classic Game Room. And he did these reviews. And I have a couple of glasses that I bought from his store at the time. There's one that's like, it says like insert beer output fun. It's ridiculous. This guy is a dude. Mark something. I used to watch him on Twitch too. But he was a big fan of the Vectrex, so he had a bunch of videos about games and the homebrew community and how the homebrew games. Side note, that's really where you make the bread. That's
wild. Like the homebrew community for that is so
weird, right?
Abundant. Like,
yeah,
it's just such a weird like niche.
There's 27, give or take 4, officially released games for the Vectrex. There's like 150 homebrew games and so many accessories.
I mean, I guess it probably comes down to the fact that it's probably easy to make a like.
Yeah, developing for it's pretty easy.
Right, because it's.
Well, look at this. I mean, I got this UV array here
Not
with
to say,
this.
Not to say that the technology is primitive, but it's easier to manifest a game on it than something else. The screens are nice.
Yeah, the overlays.
Nice.
This system, you should Google search it because I can't give it the best sale here. But it has its own screen built in, and that was like its big draw. That it had this vector-based CRT screen built in, and it was in black and white as a cost-cutting saving. And so you would put this overlay that would come with each of the games that would simulate color. So like the built-in game is a copy of Asteroids, and there was a blue overlay that made it look like it was playing blue as opposed to black and white. But to backtrack, I see the Vectrex there. I go up to the counter, and at this time the Vectrex was pretty rare, so I did not expect them to actually have a controller. I go up and I was like, hey, like I saw a Vectrex over in the corner, like, do you have a controller? And they're like, yeah, here you go. And they just handed me like...
And they were like, are you okay in the head? Here's the controller.
It was like $150 for a controller to buy one now. At the time it was maybe $75, let's say. But so I go over. I missed like 3 panels. Like I was there for the afternoon. I was there for the long haul. So my friend Glenn, who I was there with, he comes over and he finally finds me. He's like, dude, what are you doing? Like you missed. I don't even know what the panel was supposed to be. I didn't care for it. And I was like, oh, sorry, I was just playing some Vectrex. And I was just playing the built-in Asteroids clone over and over and over again. So that was the first time I saw it in person. The second time I saw it in person, still PAX East. Back down on the floor now. Oh, Lulu's awake. Hi, Bubs. Oh, good girl. Go back to bed. I'm sorry, I'm yelling. Second time I saw the console, it was back down on the floor. A vendor had one. Just the system, no games. No controller, no nothing. Just the system. He wanted $500, and I almost paid it.
I won't lie to you. Those conventions, the vendors fleece you.
Yes.
Because I went to Comic-Con, and like, it's just a like absolute shit show with like anything that you could think of. Like they have, and it's like you could look it up online and get it for like a
200% increase sometimes.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like.
And the thing is, people pay it because it's the atmosphere. You have a story to tell, and You know, and sometimes they'll have rare shit like the Vectrex, or rare comic books or toys.
They'll even have like the so at Comic Con they release like Funkos that are like Funko Pop figures that are
Comic Con exclusives.
Comic Con exclusive. The vendors will buy all of the exclusives and then sell them for a markup.
Scalping.
It like
that's bad.
Yeah. For like whatever they want for it, it's ridiculous.
Safe to say, I did not pay that.
That's a smart financial decision to not pay for that.
And then it was gone forever.
Into the void.
Fast forward 4 years. I was a junior in college, and my friend Josh, big into video games. He and I were bonding over the GameCube at the time, and we were doing yard sailing and stuff. And so I was starting to look for Vectrex stuff, and there was one on Craigslist. The guy wanted like $400, and it had the system, almost a complete set of games. None of the there's a light pen add-on and a 3D imager add-on. Neither of those things, and none of the games for that. And side note, the 3D imager, Vectrex, predated the Sega Master System's 3D 3D capabilities by 6 years. So eat your heart out, Sega. Eat your heart out, Nintendo, with your fucking 3DS and shit. The Vectrex did it first. And I can't wait to try it someday. But, back to the story. And we were trying to haggle with this guy to bring him down. Because in college, we didn't have $400. It was a great deal at the time. We did not have $400 to spend. And then he pulled it out. He pulled his listing once he found out what he had. And probably parted it out. Or sold it to a collector and made a decent profit. And we didn't get a chance to. And the third one I saw in the wild, this same kid took me to a game store near where he lived. He lives in the North Shore of Massachusetts. I'll shout out the store. It's actually they're a great spot. Not Game Underground. Don't go there. What's it called? I have their membership card. I haven't been there in a minute. Oh, that's embarrassing.
Tough.
It's in Salem, New Hampshire.
Can't get the shout out.
It's in Salem, New Hampshire. They're great, just over the border of Massachusetts. I'll get their name.
No sales tax.
No sales tax. But I went there and they had one on the shelf, on display, and I was like, oh hey, that's a Vectrex. Those are really rare. Are you interested in selling? And they're like, no, it doesn't work, and so our policy is we can't sell it. I was like, damn. Well, if you ever get one in, they had a waiting list for all people who wanted certain shit. If you get one in, here's my phone number. Please call me. So, the next week I went back there with my friend and I traded in. This was the very beginning of the summer. It was May. I traded in probably $450 worth of merchandise. I got $200 in store credit, $250 in store credit. And I was thinking to myself, I have all this store credit now. I traded in a bunch of stuff, mostly shit that I wasn't using. PlayStation 2 stuff, PlayStation 2 games, doubles of GameCube stuff. It was just overstock basically at my house that was taking up space. And I says I'm gonna wait, and when they call me, I got at least half of the price locked in. Man makes plans and God laughs, because in August I was getting ready to go back to St. Joe's. And they hadn't called me, so I go back to the store, and I said, I'm going back to college, and I just blew it out on GameCube stuff. I got a couple of great GameCube, a couple of great, an original GameCube controller, OEM controller that was in great shape, 2 Nintendo 64 controllers that were third party but really high quality, the Tribute 64 and the Brawler 64, they're well regarded. A couple of N64 gems, Snowboard Kids 2, and Mario Party 3. Those were each $60. I just blew it out. I spent that on it. And then the next week, I'm back at school, and I get a phone call. They got one in the box. They wanted $500 for it, though, which I wouldn't have paid because of the box.
Right.
So I guess I worked out and I did. But that was the third one, and the opportunity for the fourth. It was just what are the odds, right? They get one the next week. And then this one, I during COVID, I says, life is too short. I have the money. I just started bidding on eBay, and this one came in, and it came with a few games, and I'm not going to tell you how much I paid for it, because it might sound like a lot for just the system and a controller
It's
and a
an
couple of games. It's a long-term investment. I see in 5 years that this might be an exceedingly rare item that just keeps.
It may also be worthless, but it'll be worth what to you. That's all that matters.
This is the Jerry Smith R2D2
I won't tell
coins.
you that these R2D2 coins will appreciate in value or even hold their current value. No, that would definitely, if it's kept in good shape, which it will be, it will be worth.
And it's getting a lot of love.
Just by the law of, like, supply and demand.
Yeah.
In the next 10 years, whatever percentage of those will go bust.
And you have to think,
will still be worth it.
right now we're in a renaissance for 80s nostalgia. And I'm surprised something like this has not been featured in, like, Stranger Things or It, or this weird kick that we're having with 80s fandom, right? It seems like this would be the perfect thing to just have on a desk.
Yeah, I think it's partly less. I would think that part of that is if you put some kind of old like Nintendo console, even if it's like an anachronism, it's you and I, the average consumer today associates with Nintendo.
Yeah.
Where there's no modern day equivalent to a Vectrex. There's no modern day Vectrex system.
True.
So I think that like hurts its value as being like a prop in a period piece.
So it sounds like we're making an 80s movie and we're going to make a point to put this in the plot.
We're going to make it part of the plot.
Yes. This is like the MacGuffin.
The soft.
Inside the back of the system.
We're going to make Jumanji, but instead of going into a game, we're going to go into a Vectrex. We're going to be on the asteroid.
But these are amazing. You got to look up YouTube videos about this system. I want more. The more people take an interest in this and buy them, the more my thing is worth. So that's my pitch. Go take a look.
Buy a Vectrex and buy AMC.
We like the stock.
And lock it in.
We like the stock.
And
AMC gave me a fucking hit this week, but I'm holding. They went down from like 50 to like 30.
It was not about fundamentals.
It was never about.
It was never.
Always hasn't been.
Always has not been. I mean, if they start, again, we talked about this with like renting out theaters and stuff, and the licensing on that could be a business model.
It'll be interesting to see legally what you can do.
What you'd be able to do.
Yeah.
I would go. If you told me I could rent out a theater and watch a movie and it was reasonably priced, I'd be there for it. You get a bunch of guys together, go make it a good time. Like go watch like a sporting event there or some kind of thing like that on the projector, and
yeah,
comfortable seats, and then also
sporting event wouldn't be bad.
Get concessions while I'm there, like have that access.
The problem is theaters are so big; they hold 75 people. It's like, how could you? You'd have to severely.
Need friends of friends.
Well, yeah, I guess.
Send out the invite.
It would require a infrastructure change.
It would.
In some of these big theaters, that I don't know that they could even afford.
Although some of them, like nowadays, with the more comfortable seats, they are getting smaller in terms of the size.
The numbers.
The number of people that they can fit in the theater.
Yeah.
Like not the one that we went to go see Black Widow, but other ones that I know of. It's maybe
the one that we went to see, Godzilla.
Yeah, there's like 30 seats in the theater or something like that. So I mean, like you could get away with that kind of model, maybe. But large scale, like the days of going to see blockbuster movies that are produced by Disney
it's over.
I mean, now Marvel, Lucasfilms, Disney itself have kind of taken over, like Pixar, kind of taken over the market from that.
It's strange because that's such a power that I wish one company didn't have.
And what's so tough is it's not even that they're just making the movies; it's that they own the IP.
Yeah.
So there's not even a chance. I guess we have to hope and pray until the point where that stuff becomes public domain.
Mickey Mouse is supposed to be.
Soon, yeah. Well, they change it to like whatever plus 1 year. They changed it when it was originally gonna come due.
Yeah. No, it's never gonna happen because Disney owns the lobbyists, and the lobbyists own Congress, and Congress makes the laws.
Monopoly is public domain.
Is it?
That's why you can make all those Monopoly ripoffs. Those aren't like a lot of those. I could be wrong. I would like Will here to back this up legally, but I believe a lot of those Monopoly versions.
Let's call them in from the traffic cop.
That are small, like my random.
There is
small,
fighting on the streets. That video is classic.
My plain Monopoly that I could probably find somewhere is not made by
Milton Bradley.
Milton Bradley.
No, Parker Brothers.
Yeah, which
whomever.
It's its own thing because it's not called. The only thing you can't do is call it Monopoly. Right. So like the idea of a Monopoly game is public domain, but the trademark for Monopoly the game is alive and well.
Monopoly Plus, Ubisoft.
That's what Reddit lawyers told me, so I trust them.
We like the stock.
I mean, there's so many Monopoly games that there's no way that one company is making all of them.
And there's no way that they could
legally enforce it if we want to make the conversation pitopoly.
TCP-opoly. TC-popoly.
A dirty versopoly.
Dirty-opoly.
Dirty-opoly. We could do it. We just can't call it Monopoly. I think we'd be fine. What's
the boardwalk? It's gotta be Will's law degree, right? That's gotta be boardwalk.
It's just all parts of Will's life. It's nothing to do with their character.
No, Aiden's ice cream shop has to be like one of those cheapo ones in the maroon.
The early spots.
Like those maroon purplish ones. Yeah.
Oh.
It's getting late.
It is getting late.
We're probably going to have to kill this because we have to fly tomorrow and we have to be somewhat cognizant to actually get through security. Because, one guy tries to sneak a bomb in his shoes and now everyone has to take their fucking shoes off.
Imagine that. Although, you see, it's so BS because I've gone through pre-check where you don't have to take your shoes off.
Well, that's an added fee, right?
It's the appearance. We're going to get real philosophical. It's the appearance of security.
Yeah.
It's not real security.
Those TSA agents don't give a fuck. They're there to collect a paycheck.
They run tests of TSA and 80% of the things they try to bring through get through.
Yeah.
It's the appearance. It's make the sheep feel safe.
Well, I'm not gonna say that because there has not been another 9/11.
It works. I think it's also possible.
It's just a good deterrent.
Not exactly. It's a deterrent. It keeps people from wanting to do it because they know that they could get caught.
Yeah.
And the penalties for doing so are very.
I just don't like how those X-ray machines are making my dick small.
I was checking into.
Yeah, that's the reason.
And then they're like, don't bring these 8 items, and it's lithium batteries and household detergents and.
No, I'm gonna throw Clorox bleach in their face.
And the fine is $250,000 or jail time, and I'm like, I mean.
Oh.
I'm not going to bring bleach on this flight, but. Yeah, why is that the penalty for that?
Yeah. So we'll probably do an episode within the next week. I hope.
I would hope so.
That way we can decompress after the game.
I might be getting busy, so I don't know if I can be there. But
I gotta get Will back because it's weird not having him here.
Yeah, this might not be a common occurrence. It might be us and Will. Well, Will and me, I guess. It's more the way.
Yeah.
Will's the co-host.
And you can't have this without me.
I'm the backup co-host. I'm the
Ryan, you were a great.
I'm the Ellis Burks of this broadcast. I'm the one that they give the Dennis Eckerly a day off.
Oh.
The Red Sox broadcast.
Gotcha. That went right over my head. I
like,
looked at you like you had 6 heads.
Yeah, I'm like if the Reds broadcast gave Charlie Davies a day off and some rando
Naoko Furukawa
was now the color commentator.
Yeah, imagine if Naoko was color.
I'm the Johnny Gomes of this podcast.
Don't you put some respect on Johnny Gomes?
Axel. But with that, we're not getting on that tangent right now. It's too late.
I have to say, you might consider yourself a backup. But this is always a great time.
Call the pen. It's brought to you by 4.
What are we calling this? You're the guy. You're the wizard that comes up with episode names.
I don't know. Backup host. This is gonna be. I have to think about it after the fact, and the listeners are gonna have to wait and see. They're gonna know because they're gonna know because they clicked on it.
Yeah.
But they're not gonna hear about why it was called that.
Why don't we just call this one Jerry Simpwhisky?
Jerry Simpwhisky Part 2.
What do you think?
God, Jerry Simpwhisky.
That's such a great name. We can't not use it.
how did I come up with that?
You were drunk. What do you want me to say?
Yeah, geez, maybe we should get a stand-up routine and just get shit-faced for it.
Why don't you guys give us out a name? Bill Cosby. No, we're not doing that one. How about an event?
Jerry Simp Whiskey. It's probably because you know what? It's probably because of.
I was simping.
Well, yes, and also I picked Sandusky in the Death Bowl.
Oh,
so I put two and two together, maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe that's what's going
Maybe.
on. But
Well,
maybe it was that, and maybe it was also a little bit of the Jerry, the residuals. So I was just kind of.
It's not funny. Don't
I
laugh.
was putting all kinds of pieces together.
Yeah,
So
you're over there with like 40 chests.
I got like 3 pieces of this puzzle. Going
This
together.
was 2 hours. This was really solid.
Didn't
This
feel
was
like
good.
It might have felt like 15 minutes.
For you,
Good.
maybe. For me, I'm starting to feel that.
I am feeling tired.
Yeah,
But
I'm feeling it. It's always a pleasure.
yes, it was a
I
good
hope you
time.
enjoyed your wine. I hope you
It
enjoyed.
was good.
You beat
Well,
me in hits tonight, you
I did.
motherfucker.
That's rare.
That is. Take that one. Take your wins when you get
I
them.
don't feel like grandpa. I'm to hang the dollar that I went off my own on the fridge. That's gonna be a plaque on the fridge. Right
You
now.
beat me as I was playing as the fucking wings guy.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
Who knows?
OT.
last
I
game
knew
we
I
were
wasn't
Bruins,
winning an
Bruins.
OT.
We were Bruins, and you lost Sergey. So it was
That was
kinda
Sergey's speed is losing that was killer.
cheat code.
He is a
Little
cheat
bit.
code.
There's a couple of them, but it was a solid series.
We had a good time.
Always is.
It's always a good time.
It
Usually
sweaty.
beating
It gets,
you,
it
but
gets sweaty. But,
yeah,
enjoy it.
yeah.
Very much so.
All right, folks. I think that'll do it for us. You have anything you wanted to plug?
No, nothing. I mean,
Go Revs.
buy a mystery kit from Away Days. We're not starting the conversation, but if you're into trendy soccer jerseys and you're looking for a good time, Away Days is your place. $30 mystery kit. I've been pleased with mine.
Yeah, me too.
Uh,
Martin does a good job.
I think Teddy was pleased with his. So
Teddy's very happy.
exactly. So it's nice just to have the jersey. Like $30 is not that much of a shell to get like a nice jersey that you can wear in any.
And you know it's real.
Yeah, exactly.
Which you can't say for some of the stuff in my closet.
Exactly.
Yeah. Story for another day.
But that's all I want to plug. So.
All right, well that's good. Go check out Away Days, awaydays.com or awaydaysfc.com.
I'm not sure you search Away Days, I think you'll find it.
Yeah, you'll find it. Boston
Maybe
based,
we can
good
tweet,
local
we
guy.
can tweet our picture for the Twitter.
That'll be good. We'll take a selfie of both of us in the Amalek.
In the Amalek jersey.
Yeah, that'll be good. Cerveza
When
Pilsner.
we take our trip to Ecuador, we're going to watch them live.
Yes. Hopefully we don't get knifed.
Ecuador's fun.
They're fine. Atlanta's the one you got to worry about.
Uh,
Yeah, Magic City.
Leave with the crowd. But with that,
Lemon pepper wings. That's the name of this episode.
LouWill lemon pepper wings. That's what they call them on the menu. We looked it up.
Lock it in.
The Magic City
Lock it in.
Kitchen.
Lock it in.
Just for the wings.
All right, folks. Thank you so much for coming out to the conversation. But this has been episode.
Something.
I think this is 5.
If the lost episode does not get released, this is 5. We'll call 5.5.
This is 5. The
5.
lost episode's not. The lost episode.
All right, so this is 5.
If
then.
I make
it's
$10,000 a month on my Patreon, that I'll start, I will release the lost tapes.
only to the people who have donated to the Patreon.
Yes. So
That can't be.
get your fucking wallets
that can't
out,
be in
boys and girls.
circulation Quietly.
Yeah, I'm the only one that's going to get canceled.
Isn't there a discrepancy too between the YouTube version and the Spotify podcast version? Are we like episode 5, 6, or 5?
No, now I just use
it's
the same
balanced-
number
it's balanced
uniformly.
out.
Well, I
Okay.
didn't put the Spotify one on YouTube. That episode, but
Okay.
if they wanted to hear that, Spotify's free to everybody. I just have now gone to using the same number on each one because
Smart.
it's too much work.
Yeah, no, we can't be doing that.
I'm getting more listeners on YouTube, which is interesting.
Weird.
Interesting.
Praise
We
be-
have listeners in Lewiston, Maine. Shout out to the Mainers. You know, that's. I wonder who that is. It's got to be somebody I went to school with.
I don't know.
But yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see the growth. But that'll do it for us. Thank you for coming out for episode 5, the real episode 5, the only episode 5.
The lost episode didn't actually happen.
It was a figment. It was total fabrication. Total fabrication.
Until you raised $10,000.
Until
at which point
$10,000 a month.
sweating. For how long? For a year. Consecutive.
No, like in Patreon, you basically
Or do you get like a monthly like?
Yeah, it shows how much you make monthly. So if I get $10,000 a month, or 500 backers, that math doesn't add up.
500 backers could be. They could give you like. How much is it to be a backer?
You decide.
Oh, so they could give you like $1. If 500 people give us $1, we could be.
In trouble.
Oh no.
Yeah, you can make tiers, so it could be like $1, $5, $10.
We'll have to figure out a tier.
Yeah, I'll speak to my accountant and my tax lawyer, and we'll make that happen.
That'll be next time.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for next show. We tell you how we can release the lost episode.
The lost tapes, the sacred texts. We'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.